Okay, we're back. It's going now. Hopefully I have everybody. Pearlo dance for nobody. Should be able to pop in here right away. Jeez, why does it do that? Anyways, how you doing, everybody in the land? Whoever's in the land right now. Wow, we got a lot to talk about. Good thing we got 2 hours because we're going to need it today. Let me edit this. Hey everybody, welcome to live. I had to change the title there. I don't know why that's happening, but that's okay. We got her going. Bill, Lord, CL, welcome to the live, my friends. Well, we have a whole bunch of stuff to go on about today, don't we? Keith Yandle gets bought out from the Florida Panthers. Kind of saw that coming since basically they almost didn't even. Oh no. That happens. I know lots of people that have that fail the first time when they do those things. They ask you some crazy questions. Anyways, Yandle gets bought out. They sign Duclair to 3 years. $9 million, $3 million per. It's okay. It could turn out really good. It could turn out really well if Duclair plays the way he can play, but it's few and far between with him, and they kind of play him down lower in the lineup. I don't think it's a terrible signing at all, but it could be a really good signing. The Bruins and Taylor Hall. Yeah, I kind of figure I think they're gonna sign. Sakic is playing hardball with Landeskog, and Sakic's a hardball kind of guy. So Sakic is the kind of guy that it's like, I got this much money for you. That's what you want. You don't like it, you go. So he's got to decide. The thing about Joe Sakic is Joe Sakic played, right? So he knows you can't really fool him. He knows how much people don't like to leave a situation that they've enjoyed for a long time. And he's going to play on that. So I don't know what he's offering Landeskog, but I'm thinking it's probably like 7, somewhere around there, which isn't much more than what he was making before. And I don't know. I would really like to know the numbers there. What Landeskog is asking for and what Sakic is saying he's going to pay. Because the last thing I heard about with Landeskog, he seems really disappointed. I heard a quote where basically he said, I was hoping that this would be done last year, let alone right now. I wanted it to be done long time ago. Yeah, Duclair and I think Forslin's average is 2.5 or something like that, isn't it? Let me bring that up. Duclair's number will be okay. It could be really good. Yeah, and then they buy out Yandle. Oh, let me bring all that stuff up here, boys. Let me bring it up on my cap friendly. Love the cap friendly. Cap friendly is the way to go. So, let's see here. We got Yandle. They saved $2 million. Next year, it's only they don't save much. It's $5 million on the cap, and then $1 million, and then $1 million, just over $1 million. So they signed them up. They sign Forsling for 2.6 for 3 years. I think that's fair. He played really well. He's only 25 years old. He's been improving steadily. That could turn out to be a really good contract too. So far, so good for Kuda. What's his name? Not Kuda. Fuda. He has been nailing it pretty much every time. As far as Duclair, 25 years old, signed up till he's 28, so they even bought 1 year of free agency out at that $3 million. That is not bad at all. Not bad at all. Duclair had, I got to get you guys up on my phone so I can see y'all. So Duclair had how many points last year? Yeah, I mean, Forsling came along really fast. Not really fast, really slow, I should say. He started out in Chicago. Then he went to the Canes. Pretty deep team there for him to move up. But he progressed every single year, and he worked really hard. Everything I heard about Forsling is the guy's like extremely good hard worker. And, if they would have waited it out, it probably would have been good there. But they had so much depth. That was the thing. It was a nice pickup by Carolina. And then Florida gave him a shot, and he took it and went flying with it. Man, did he do well. So you got Duclair got 32 points in 43 games last year. That's like a 60-point winger for $3 million. Yeah, I'd say they did pretty well. Now it was his first. That was his best year so far. So, it's kind of a prove it, but it's a pretty nice prove it. 3 years at $3 million. If he keeps that up, he's way. That's a really good contract. He's way underpaid. So, nice contract for them. And then Forsling was playing quite a few minutes last year. I think in the 20-minute mark, somewhere around the 20-minute mark. Did they have the minutes here? Oh, they don't have the minutes played here. But he had 17 points in 43 games. That's like a 34-point pace. Now, I don't know if he's going to do that every year, because the year before he had 26 points in 57 games in the AHL. But, I mean, just on a whim, I know he was playing somewhere around close to 20 minutes. And I think that they're long-term, or not even long-term, like they're looking at him as a top 4. So that is pretty darn good dollars for two guys. Now the question, of course, now is where does Yandel go? And it's early to ask that, but first of all, let me look at Florida here. But I think almost for sure. We'll see if I'm right. That Yandel goes back to Arizona. He's good friends with Shane Doan. I don't think Yandel retires. He's good friends with Shane Doan. He's going to get that games played record. He's going for the record for most consecutive games played in a row. And it appears that was a problem with Quenneville there. He did not like that. He did not like the way Yandel was handling the games played in a row stuff. And for some reason, I don't know, it didn't work. And if he wants to have that, if that's that important to him, he's going to have to go somewhere where they're going to play him for sure. And Arizona would be that. If Toronto takes Yandel, that would be ridiculous. They do not need a guy who can't play defense, is soft as heck, and basically is a power play specialist. I just don't see why they would do that. I don't think he's going to make much. He might make $1 million. He's probably going to sign for like $1 million. That's about it. Where does that put Florida for cap now? Because Florida's got an internal cap, so I don't know exactly what their cap is. They've only got $11 million left. Like, they're pretty much done. And they still got, what do they have to sign? They got to sign Sam Bennett yet. Are they going to spend to the cap in Florida, really? I mean, there's still some pieces here that I think they'd want to improve on. Hall's agent is they've been saying that he should fire that agent for a long time, but Verhaeghe, Barkov, Marchment, Huberto, Bennett, Tippett, Vetrano, Achari, Hornqvist, Lomberg, Lamico, Declare. Okay, they're not too bad on the forward side. Forsling is penciled in on as a second line D-man. He played 20 minutes. Yeah, I was close to 20 minutes. And he signs for $3 million for 3 years. Wow. No, 2.6 yet. That is pretty darn good for a top 4 D-man. My gosh. Now all they got to do is find a way to get out of that Stroman contract, and they can maybe do something with that. Yeah, Miller retired. Yeah. Hall's agent has always gotten away. Hall's agent Hall would never sign a contract until the season was over. He would never sign a contract in season. He would never sign a contract until he always tested the market. That's the reason why he got traded from New Jersey, because they were afraid they were going to lose him for nothing. He won't sign a contract, and this is what his agent does. But then when you say that, is it the agent or just as much the player? Because the player has to agree with the agent, right? So he obviously has been with this agent forever. The agent has been a pain in everybody's butt, and he keeps the agent. So it's not just the agent. He's agreeing with whatever that agent is doing. Yeah, and it's not just Hall. It's like, let's look at whoever Hall's agent. Who else does Hall's agent have? Darren Ferris. Okay, Darren Ferris is his agent. So let's look at he's for Marner too. He's Max Domi's agent. He's now Max Domi's agent. Johnny Gaudreau, Josh Anderson, who got, look what Josh Anderson got. Sam Bennett, Andreas Athanasiou. Okay, let's see which players has. Cam Morrison, Philippe Zadina, Philip Broberg, oh boy, Matt Nieto, Taylor Hall, Sam Bennett, Zach Bogosian, Victor Mete. He doesn't have a lot of guys, but he has some. Philippe Zadina, I feel sorry for Detroit when they got to do his contract. Max Domi, that makes sense. I don't think anybody's going to be able to go after Landeskog. I think they'll pound that out, but I think they'll get that figured out, that contract. But Sakic's going to play hardball. There's no doubt about it. I just can't see him letting Landeskog go. You never know, though. I don't think 6.5 is going to do it for Landeskog, though. But then he probably is worth it more than Hall to pay like $7 or $8 million. I agree. 6.5 should be fair. 6.5 for 5 years or something like that. That sounds about right. Hey, Lemon Shroff! Domi's agent? Yeah, he's Domi's agent. Parise should retire now. He'll find a place. Somebody will give him $1 million a year like Corey Perry. Somebody will try to use him as their Corey Perry. Who will do that? Thanks for bringing that up, Lemon. That sounds like fun. Let's look at that. Who will they do that to? Which team will give Parise that money? I know there's been talk about him going back to New Jersey, but I doubt that. Somebody going to give him $1 million. He could go to a warm place like Florida. He could go to Montreal. Zach Parise sounds French to me. Is he where? I think he's American, though, isn't he? Yeah, he's American, Zach Parise. Where is he from? No, he's from Minnesota. So, he could go to a lot of places. But, I don't know, Florida, for some reason, makes sense to me. What do you guys say? Yeah, Weber. Weber, I don't know. Okay, man, you guys bring up so many topics at a time, I don't know where to start. Oh, I know, that's terrible, eh, Kavlenkas. And apparently, the Merzlikin said that he saved people's lives. He basically jumped in front of the fireworks that it was heading right to a crowd, and in doing so, he saved people's lives. That's pretty nuts. Yeah, that is freaking nuts. Shea Weber done playing. I don't know. It might be, but okay, I want to continue on that. And then we'll look at where Parise may go. Now, we just saw what Tampa did. And, of course, they didn't break any rules. I gotcha. Okay. But are you telling me now, see, if Weber now all of a sudden, needs to have some time off to get this foot problem figured out, now all of a sudden they can expose him, and then Seattle's going to be like, should we take him? And they're not going to let him talk to the doctors or nothing like that. So they get to protect Sherratt and not protect Weber. They don't take Weber. And then halfway through the year, voila, Weber's back. How much do you want to bet? Halfway through the year, Weber gets fully healthy, takes some time off, and he's back halfway through the year. How much do you want to bet? So they get to keep Sherratt. Call me a conspiracy theorist here, but really, pulling a Tampa. Is that right? Maybe, maybe not. I'm sure he's really injured. I'm sure he is. But is he going to need as much time, or did he really, who knows? It could be just the way it is, but anyways, Parise and where he may go. I think there's a few teams that'll be out there. He definitely, injuries have taken their toll. He had 18 points in 45 games. If he played more limited minutes, like say 12 minutes a night on 5-on-5 for a team, I still think he can be fairly effective. The team, I wouldn't doubt if the Pittsburgh Penguins give him a call for $1 million. They might be able to find a way. They're going to need some cheap guys to work. The New York Islanders almost traded for him already. Somehow with Ladd, so they might give him a call. The Toronto Maple Leafs seem to like to get guys like that. I think there's a lot of teams out there that would give him a call. I wouldn't even doubt that the Edmonton Oilers do. Montreal tries to do it again with an old guy like that. Boston Bruins, Minnesota. Yeah, quite a few teams there I think will give him a call. Oh, they didn't get their day with the Cup last year? Okay. Yeah, because of COVID and all that? Casey Zizekas is from Toronto, Ontario. Yeah, man, he's really a diehard Islander, though, isn't he? I think he stays an Islander. I don't know, but I don't know. It depends on what the Islanders want to pay him, but the Islanders love him there. Who else would we have? Yeah, but I don't think Shea Weber's done. I could be wrong. Maybe it's so bad that he is done. The guy's been a Warrior his whole career, so. Yeah, it's getting sent. During the festival, it received some damages. Yeah, I know. I'm going to look. So let's see what Landeskog said. Landeskog, in his quote, said, "It's tough to imagine the Colorado Avalanche without. I always known that come September, October, I'm going to pull on an Avs jersey. he opened up about his disappointment, and I can't help but be honest with you that I'm a little bit disappointed that it's gotten this far and it's had to come to this point. But the sides are still far away from agreement, according to a league source. Still far away for Gabriel Landeskog, a guy who had a point a game last year. He said if you would like it done 8 to 10 months ago. I'm sure Sakic's just pushing him to the limit. I'm pretty sure. Guerin on the Kaprizov contract says we'll get there. He's confident he's going to get there. Now, before we got on here, I heard that Kaprizov just turned down a huge long-term contract with the Minnesota Wild. So let me see if I can find that. I don't know. I just heard it. I think it was on Twitter or something. Okay. Report. Oh, that was a day ago. Has rejected an 8-year contract that would pay him $9 million per season. Well, I think they're crazy because I wouldn't sign that either if that's the case. You're going to have to pay him $11 million a year. Just get over it. There's no way a guy like Kaprizov is going to sign a $9 million 8-year contract. There's just no way. There's no talk about what the numbers are, so I can't really say what Landeskog is turning down and what Sakic is offering or anything. I don't know who's being irrational there, but something's going on. I don't blame him, Lauren. I don't blame him at all. A $9 million now you're going to sign? You got Panarin just signed at 11.5. What was that, 2 years ago? He's looking every bit as good as Panarin. Yeah, like if I'm Minnesota right now, and I know there's cap issues and all that stuff like that, I'm not screwing around. I'm giving him 11 for 8 right now. By the end of that contract, 11 for 8 is going to look beautiful. 11 million for 8 right now. Just get it over with. Try 9 million. What are you going to do? A bridge? You're going to do a bridge contract with him? He's only got 2 more years and he's a free agent. Then you're going to put him out on the market and see what he's going to get? Kaprizov goes on the market in 2 years and plays the way he plays now, and probably better as he gets better as a player. He could get like 13, 14 million, man. Like, don't screw around. Give him 11 right now, I say. $11 million is low. 11 million. Marner signed 11 million, is already at 11 million now. Panarin is worth every bit of 11. You got to remember, this is an 8-year contract. That's not bad. He's got you by the short hairs, man. What are you going to do? You going to sign a bridge with him? I guess at $9 million, he may do 4 years, maybe. Sign him up for the next 4 years at $9 million. I don't know, man. Guys like, when you got guys like Kaprizov, I wouldn't mess around too much. Find out what the market is. Sign him long term. Maybe you can do it for 10.5. If you can get him for 10.5 for 8 years, I'd be all over it. I'd be all over it. Maybe 3. Yeah, if you're going to do a 3-year, he's 20. He's going to be a free agent in 3 years. I mean, that contract's going to be enormous. Anyways, so why screw around with it? I guess the way they look at it is, I guess they could look at it as they do it for 9 now because they're going to end up paying so much in the next 4 years for those Suter and Parise contracts that they could absorb a higher mark in year 5 or 6 if they have to. I guess that's the way they look at it. But the way I look at it is struggle for the next 3 years at 11. And then when those contracts are not off the books but come down, you've got a guy at 11 that would normally be at 14. So you're going to be saving $3 million a year for 5 years of that contract, and you're going to have those other contracts off. So you're going to be primed. Minnesota would be primed in 4 to 5 years to be a possible dynasty. And then in the time that you're waiting for that to happen, you just try to get as many superstars as you can. I'd be in on the Eichel sweepstakes, although I don't think they're going to win that. Zach Bogosian wants $3 million. Well, Zach Bogosian can go play in the KHL then. Bye-bye. There's nobody going to give. If somebody gives Zach, the only person that might give Zach Bogosian $3 million is Brian Benning, maybe. Maybe Seattle will give it to them if they have to get the cap floor or something like that, but that would be crazy. I signed Kaprizov up, maybe just 10.5. 10.5 for 8 years. See if he'll bite at 10.5. 10.5 at 8 years. What is he, 24? He's 31 years old. In the middle of that contract, that's going to be no problems at all. Easily absorbed. Minnesota is going to have a very difficult time being a contender with those 2 contracts that they just bought out anyways, right? So how often are you going to get a guy like Kaprizov? Like, when is that going to, how many times are you going to be able to go out and get a guy like Kaprizov? I'd say the only other option, the big problem here is I want to know if the guy is willing to go long-term at all. Because if he's not willing to do anything but a short-term, and I'm offering like 10.5, and he's only willing to go like short-term for 8 or 9, to tell you the honest truth, I'm a little concerned the guy doesn't want to stick around. And now in the league, the way it is now, how many times have we saw it that they get guys like this, they go short term, and they're not telling you that they don't really want to be in your city. And then as soon as it's time to come to renegotiate again, they're like, oh, I'm not going to sign. Well, Leafs aren't getting Landeskog. I just can't see it. Unless they trade Nylander, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I think that what's going to happen is that there's going to be so many teams out there that are... I think it's going to go back to the way it was before. There's so few players out there of certain caliber. And teams need those players, and they're hard to find. Eventually, teams will give up to 7-8 years. I think it'll just go right back to the way it was before. They'll give up that 7 or 8 years. By the way, I'm getting a Discord, by the way. I have a friend, Jason. He's helping me. He watches the program here. he's helping me get a Discord. I started it today, and I'm going to get a Discord, so that'll be cool. How often do we see buying out those players? You mean? I think we won't see as much is players getting signed those long-term contracts when they're like 30 years old. I think you're going to see more signing 8-year contracts when they're 24 or 23. Or trying to, anyways. There's going to be more gambling in that way. But at 30 years old, signing 8-year contracts, I don't think you're going to see that too much anymore. No, I agree with you there. John Tavares got 7 years. I didn't like that contract right from the get-go. I didn't like what Toronto did to bring him over. Like, they basically begged, borrowed, and stealed to get that guy over there. And they didn't need him. I mean, in the end, they could have went out and got his. Second-line centers are a little easier to find. They could have grabbed some defensemen instead. I don't know. It was a whole lot of money to put on 3 or 4 guys. We all knew it. But then on the same note, I would have been interested to see how they would have built that team if we didn't go into a COVID situation that we were in. Yeah, 13 years. Those are illegal now. They can't even do those contracts anymore. 13 years, that is crazy. And Suter, yeah. Well, you can't even, you're not even, those are nuts. 13-year contracts, backloaded and all that kind of stuff like that. Chuck Fletcher. Now there's talk of, so we were going to talk about that. It's in the title. Where does Suter go? And I did a video about this. So I'm not going to tell you all the places I think he's going to go. You got to watch the video. I haven't posted the video yet, so don't watch it yet because I haven't posted it yet. Can't watch it yet, but I will post it. I'm going to post it after the stream. I don't know if he wants to get rid of Jake Allen, but what else is he going to do? It's almost certain that Seattle's going to pick him up. Unless they give up a pick to keep him, and they've got lots of that. And that doesn't really make sense for a backup to do that. So, there should be teams out there. See, and that's the thing is they can't really trade him right now. Because anywhere they trade him, they're going to have to expose him too, mostly. Anyone they trade him to, they're going to have to sign him as well. So, or not sign him, but they're going to have to expose him. And let me see if there's any team out there that would not have to expose him if they traded him there. Maybe Buffalo, because they don't have anybody to expose. But would they do that to Jake? I don't know. Yeah, well, they'll have to get another backup, won't they? Simple as that. They'll just have to get another backup or trade to Seattle to pick him back up again. Unless they think Primo's ready. I I don't know. I don't know if Primo will ever be ready. So he hasn't really impressed me all that much. But I don't see where they can trade him before the... Buffalo is the only team I can see that they can trade him before the expansion draft, and the team would not have to give up, would not have to expose him. So if they can get him off to Buffalo, maybe. But I don't know. Does Buffalo want to do that? Are they going to re-sign Allmark? He might not be a bad guy to play with Allmark, I suppose. Bishop has waived his no-trade clause. There's been a couple of other of those, too. Who else waived their no-trade clauses? Bishop agrees to waive... There's somebody else I thought that agreed to waive. I guess it was just Bishop. I mean, yesterday there was a few, but I thought there were some new ones today as well. I guess not. Jeff Skinner, yeah. I think they would take Price if you exposed him, because I still think there could be value in Price. Especially if they retained. Maybe not. Maybe not. It'd be iffy. Because Seattle doesn't really need it. But man, I think also Price would have to agree to that. What's going on? Come, I can't watch live. It's not working. Boston Bruins want Zach Hyman. I doubt it. If they do, they won't take Hall. I'm hearing that Zach Hyman's going to end up going back to Toronto again, and I don't see how that's possible, but that's what I'm hearing. I can't see how that's possible, but that's what I'm hearing. Dustin Shear, welcome. Exposed Price. That's a really interesting... You were the one that said that, Dustin. Sorry, I was looking on my phone. I didn't see it. That would be an interesting thing if they exposed Price. But I do believe he'd have to agree to it. But how much of a chance would... Because he's got a crap load left. Like, how do you retain on that? Man, I wonder if there is a team that would make a deal for Price. That is a really good... Price is from Vancouver. Do you take Price? That is a really tough call, bud. It's possible that Seattle could take him and hope he's good for the next 5 years. After you just saw what he did with the playoffs, yeah. I think it's too close that Seattle might take him, that you could expose him. But pretty interesting view for sure. Good luck on that. Buffalo for what? Our Skinner? Yeah. Jeff Skinner, yeah. Tarasenko, they'd have to retain money for Tarasenko. I get it for Philly because they need a shooter. But man, that's kind of a gamble, isn't it? I mean, he didn't play 2 shoulder surgeries. How much is he going to be able to shoot? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so doctors would talk to doctors and they could come up with what they think he's going to be. Leafs want Lion A. I don't even know what Delta 8 in Senko means, Evan. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Talbot's making pretty good coin too. I see where you're going there, but Minnesota. I think Minnesota's going to take any goaltender that Minnesota leaves exposed. That's a really good point. Could Talbot find a home? Could they find a home for Talbot that Talbot would be happy with after Talbot signed that contract? He'd want to be a number one wherever he goes so they can keep Kakkonen. And then, yeah, especially since they did all this, since they, now they can keep Dumba. As far as the forwards are concerned, I think Hartman might be exposed. So it's pretty sure that if they leave one of Kakkonen or Talbot out there, Seattle's going to take it. So maybe talk to Talbot. Just let me look at Talbot and see, does Talbot have... He played fantastic last year. He does not have a no-trade clause. Man, they could probably get a pretty decent return for Talbot. Talbot to Toronto. What about that? Talbot to Toronto. That would be a good move by Toronto, I think. He might have enough to get you over the top. What do you guys think of Talbot to Toronto? Tarasenko to the Leafs ain't going to happen. No way. Talbot to Toronto. Where's Talbot from? He's from Toronto. He's from Caledonia, Ontario. I'm pretty sure he would agree to that trade. Oh, Evan, nice. Tomorrow afternoon? Tomorrow's afternoon, right, Evan? I wouldn't expose Backlund because they don't really need to. But I would consider trading him. I have no idea which way Calgary is going right now. They are the most screwed up freaking team out there. I don't know if they're rebuilding. They're talking to Goudreau. They're trading away players that you wouldn't trade if it was a rebuild. I have no idea where that team is going. They got Markstrom for 7 years. Now you're going to rebuild? Like, what a mess that organization is. Cool. That'd be awesome, Evan, if you were on. Has a modified no movement clause? Well, that's good. Good for him. I was really surprised. I didn't see that. But Brandon Carlo has a modified no movement clause. It's funny, they didn't mention that right away, so it must have just come out later, eh? But I think Talbot to Toronto, you guys haven't said anything. You like Talbot to Toronto? And then they let, because I think they're going to let Anderson go. Yeah, Lauren, they don't have a choice, really, but Calgary does not do things logically. They'll do something. I don't doubt at all that they still think that they can make the playoffs next year, and they'll sign some crazy players, and you'll be like, what the heck are these guys doing? They don't look like they have any plan at all in Toronto. Yeah, well, you're not going to take Bishop. There's no way. Not going to take a guy that's been injured like that. I don't think so. So if Bishop is waived, that means Hudobin. I don't think they got to protect the kid, do they? But Campbell doesn't make much. He's going to be your backup. But, I'm sure you could find a home for Campbell. There's lots of places you could go and get a cheaper backup. Yeah, but he's just not healthy enough. Like, it's too much of a question mark. And honestly, Seattle, I really don't think cares about winning next year. I really don't. I don't think it matters to them to win next year. I suppose they could take a gamble that Bishop will be okay and they could trade him at the deadline. But he had a no movement clause. He's not going to waive his no movement clause if there's any thought that he would get picked up by Seattle. I could be wrong about that. Because he sees that kid coming up now in Dallas, and he could see the writing on the wall anyways. Maybe he thinks, wow, I could be a number one goalie over Seattle. There's an off chance that Seattle knows something. But, would Dallas just let him go if that was the case? Or would they hold on to him and trade him later? Or there's a lot of interesting questions there. My thinking, though, is they're going to make sure that he doesn't get picked up. He waived it, but I don't think he waived it so he could go to Seattle. I think he waived it to help out the Dallas Stars. And the Dallas Stars are like fully convinced that he's not going to get picked up. We'll see. Yeah, I know he waived it, but players generally waive because they're helping their team with their protection list. So their team will be stronger. Skinner did that. Nobody's going to pick Skinner. Lucic waived. Nobody's going to take Lucic. If Lucic thought he'd be taken, he probably wouldn't waive. You see? Protection list is due on Saturday. That is going to be good frolic right there. We're going to have a lot of time to talk about on Monday. Oh, we could have Peyton and E-Money tomorrow. Peyton just messaged. Peyton's working like 10 hours a day right now or something. James Reimer to the Leafs. Oh my gosh, that'd be terrible. Why would you want to do that? No. I think Hall probably will be a Bruin, yeah. You needed a brief hockey break. Don't worry about it. You don't need to explain why you have or haven't been on. You come on whenever you feel like it. This is whenever you feel like it o'clock, I haven't used that in a long time. I got to do that. This is whenever you feel like it o'clock. No explanations needed. You don't want to come on? Don't come on. You want to come on? You come on. There's no expectation to come on. Whenever you want to come on, you come on. Absolutely. And I wouldn't even, for Skinner, you couldn't give me a first to take that. Oh, wait, this is Buffalo. This is the sad thing. Buffalo has the number one overall pick in the draft this year. And I think it's possible that I still wouldn't pick up that contract. Even for the first overall. Because you'd be putting yourself $9 million on the cap, off the cap for the next, 6 years. You're basically handcuffing yourself that even if you did select somebody that was really good, you might not be able to afford to sign them because you've got this lazy-ass Jeff Skinner contract. Like, that contract is so bad, you won't even trade for it. I think it's almost an untradeable contract. If there was ever an untradeable contract, nobody's touching Skinner for free. But let's say Buffalo said, here's our first overall pick this year. Do you take that Skinner contract off you? Would you do that? Gabriel Landeskog is going to stay in Colorado. What did Weichel say? Yeah, Jason Botterill certainly got fired. That was quite a ways ago. Asmat Dunsance is very bad. What's that? What is that? Dunsance, Asmat. I'm missing something with that, Dustin. But I would not, nope, I would not take that contract even for the first overall pick. That is one bad contract. I would probably take Eriksson's contract, but there's not too many years left. I don't know. I would take Lucic's contract if you gave me the first overall. It's just Jeff Skinner. Like, that is the only contract you would not touch with a 10-foot pole. If I got Bedard, maybe. If it was a stronger draft. Yeah, maybe if I got the 22 and the 23 from the Sabres, maybe. But just imagine if Buffalo became good again. They took that extra $9 million and they went out and got some players, and then they ended up being like maybe 10th or 11th. And those two picks are like pick 10 and pick 11. Like, I don't even think I would take that chance. Because you're putting yourself so far behind with that Skinner contract. Whatever the cap is, you got to minus it by $9 million every single year. And then you also got to look at that freaking Skinner face. Every day you wake up and go to the rink, everybody's got to look at this Jeff Skinner guy walking around like there's no problems in the world, whatever. He just got done sailing and jumped in for a practice before he heads off golfing, and that you're not going to be able to sign these great players because you got this clown in your lineup over and over again. Calder winner, Jeff Skinner. Yeah, that'll be the day. Oh, I gotta go see the doggies now. Don't leave. Everybody stick around here. This pays the bills, pays my bills, and so makes it so I can do this in the evenings and during the day. So be fun. Come back here in a second. I'll be right back. This is great conversation as usual. You guys are freaking awesome. I'll see you in a little bit.
Greetings, this is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
Hello. See, I Pearlo dance right at the end, so all of you that came, whoops. Here we go. All of you that came, stuck around, gets to see the Pearlo dance right at the end. Thanks for sticking around for those of you today. Mr. Weichel loves his Leafs, man. Bill T, he loves his Leafs. He's in here all the time. Guy's one of the best guys we have. He loves his Leafs. He wants to know what's going to happen with them. Nothing wrong with that. All right. So, Philip Grubauer to the Leafs. That would cost a lot of money. But you bring up a really good point, Weichel, that, where's Grubauer going to go? And I think this is really ultimately what the big situation is in Colorado. How are they going to fit Grubauer and Landeskog in when they got to sign McKinnon here soon? And I think they're waffling back and forth right now on whether they're going to have Grubauer or they're going to have Landeskog, or can they have both? And it gets pretty dicey. This is the first time for Joe Sakic, to have cap issues. He hasn't had cap issues before, mostly because he's done a really good job of Hall, Krejci, Tarasenko on the second line. That would be a dangerous line for the Bruins. Yeah, but can they fit it all in, Bill? I think St. Louis is definitely going to have to retain money on Tarasenko. There's very little doubt about that. they're going to have to retain money to get rid of that contract. I like Tarasenko for that. I like, in the title to begin with, I was like, where does Suter go? One of the places that I will say one of the places, but you got to watch the video because it tells you a bunch of other places. One of the places I liked was Boston. It makes sense for a lot of reasons. They have a short window of opportunity right now. But, I mean, if Tarasenko, Krejci, and Hall were a second line, if they could work that somehow, and I suppose that would be trading DeBrusk to St. Louis and St. Louis retaining money. I mean, it's not out of the question that they could get Tarasenko. And, you know, they talk to Tarasenko's doctors, and it comes back that they think he's going to be fine with the shoulder. And then, of course, you got the number one line there. That would be one heck of a team. And if they could fit Suter in there too, and then, of course, you still need Rass to come back. I think Craig Smith will end up staying there. It's a reasonable contract. But DeBrusk, I think DeBrusk would be part of that deal. DeBrusk and, I don't know, because St. Louis doesn't really have much leverage in that deal. I don't know how many teams are going to be clamoring for him. It's going to completely depend on what the doctors think about his shoulder. If a lot of people think that his shoulder is going to be okay, they might turn out not bad. I think they'd be very happy if they just could roll the dice on DeBrusk and hope he's okay. And do a DeBrusk for Tarasenko trade. Especially if they didn't have to retain. Wait a second, there has just been a trade. I just noticed a trade. Let's see what it is. While we're talking. Graves traded to the New Jersey Devils. I called that. I said that Graves was going to go to the New Jersey Devils. Graves has been traded to the New Jersey Devils for what? For Mikhail Maltsev. Ryan Graves traded to the New Jersey Devil. That's a good haul, considering you were going to lose him in expansion. They got Mikhail Maltsev, who last year he had a pretty decent year for New Jersey. He's a young guy. He's a good prospect, Mikhail Maltsev. I'm surprised they got that much because they had no leverage. I suppose they would have had a few guys. You got to remember, whoever picked up Graves also would have to protect him. And there's not too many teams out there that could have picked him up, protected him, and not lost a very significant contract. So New Jersey, I mean, that's huge for New Jersey. Huge. That is huge for the New Jersey Devils to get a defensive defenseman like that. I'm sure they haven't changed this yet. Mikhail Maltsev last year, he's 23 years old, obviously from Russia, 6'3", 200 pounds, and he put up 9 points in 33 games last year. He's still got a fair amount of upside. Is he a center or a winger? If he's a center, it's unbelievable that they got that. He shoots left. Where the heck is it? Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a winger. Yeah, I thought he was a winger. Yeah, he's left wing. He's a big guy. He plays tough. Put up 9 points in 31 games. But you got to take into consideration here. Like, okay, Graves... Why is Toronto not all over that? Couldn't Toronto offer up more for Graves there? Where's my buddy there? Weichel, man. Weichel should be mad as hell right now. Are you kidding me? Toronto couldn't offer up something for Graves? What the heck is going on there? They couldn't beat that? I know they don't have much for prospects right now, but it could be just a case that Colorado really is really high on that Maltsev kid, and I like him too. I think he's a good third line. He could be a good, really good third line winger, and relatively inexpensive. But out from the outside looking in, yeah, I like Graves a lot too. Why? Are you telling me why? Are you telling me Toronto couldn't have come up with a package to pick him up? Oh, because again, let's say Toronto did it. They've got Muzzin, Riley, and Brody. So if Toronto picked him up, they got to expose him anyways. So it's not going to work. That's what I'm saying. What are other teams that you might think need defense? The Arizona Coyotes. I'm sure they need defense. Like, why they should have been able to come up with something to get him. Because they could protect him and have no problems. But I just don't think they want to add any money at all. Who's Edmonton's next goalie? I don't know. It's going to be Smith for now. I would imagine they're going to be out there looking for another goaltender right now, but honestly, I'm not sure. I'm scared to see, to tell you the honest truth, who it's going to be. Kosa, yeah. Maybe. Might be a smart move for them to take Kosa if he's available at that time. Kosa, if you don't know, is the second best goaltending prospect for this draft. Or Kosa, whatever his name is. I'm just looking down though. Who could have took him? Like, I don't think there's many teams that could have taken him that wouldn't have to expose. Maybe the Detroit Red Wings. The Detroit should have been able to do it. Right now, they will protect Frolic, Chalosky. Yeah, they should have been able to do it. I'm surprised Detroit wasn't in there harder. I mean, that would have made sense for Detroit. I think he is the son of Adam Graves. No, there's no relation. Sorry, there's no relation. I stand corrected. I don't know why I thought that too. I think New Jersey did a heck of a job. In fact, I think New Jersey's been doing, ever since Fitzgerald took over, I don't see where he's made one mistake so far for New Jersey. He has been absolutely excellent. Yeah, that was a great move. Like, just a fantastic move for New Jersey there. I can't say enough about it. I like Maltsev. I think he's a good young prospect, but I'd for sure be giving him up for a defensive defenseman like Graves, especially with their defense. Yeah, that was a fantastic move. Excellent pickup. I'm surprised Detroit wasn't in on that. They could use defense. I see that Toronto wouldn't have been able to do it. There's not. What about Winnipeg? I guess if Winnipeg picked him up, they would have had to give up Morrissey, Pionk. Who did I see that they were going to... Oh, they would have had to give up Logan Stanley. See, so like you're picking up a player, they got to trade a player, and they got to lose Logan Stanley. So you're adding that to the trade, so that it ends up not making sense. But I'll tell you, Seattle's kicking themselves right now because they were probably all over that. Now, I'm guessing that they're going to take almost for sure Donskoy. Donskoy is going to be taken in the draft at the expansion draft, I would say. A decent backup, I'm sure they'll find. I still think they need another defenseman yet before they can even really... they got Makamadulin, but he's not going to be ready for the next little while. They could re-sign Murray, but I mean, that's not really moving the meter all that much. Murray's okay, but I still think they might go after Hamilton. If you got Hamilton and you play Hamilton with Graves, you've got a really good defensive defenseman, a good defensive defenseman playing with an offensive defenseman pair there. And then, of course, you've got Ty Smith. It's starting to look like New Jersey has a bit of a defense with that. If they do something like that, they'd have Damon Severson, who signed for 2 more years. PK Subban comes off the books next year. He won't be coming back, I'm sure. Will Butcher's no good. So Ty Smith, they still need more defensemen. Severson, Graves, Ty Smith, and Murray. And they still need more defensemen to play. Like, as far as their... Kevin Ball was playing at the end of the year next year, but do you really want a 21-year-old playing a full 82? I know he's big and all that, but ultimately I don't think that's the direction they'd want to go. They just signed Colton White. I believe it was to a 2-way contract, though. Was it to a 2-way? Yeah, it was a 2-way contract. And I mean, he's not really going to move the needle at all. He's a depth guy. Riley Walsh. I like looking up to see what their depth chart looks like. Riley Walsh had 15 points in 33 games last year. He's 5'11". He's on the smallish side, and he's already 22. Could turn out okay, but nothing there screams regular at the moment, for sure. So I still think they're going to pick up more defensemen there in New Jersey, but that is one heck of a nice pickup right there. Kevin Fiala, yeah. I really just think that they need to focus. The Devils need just to focus on their D. And I suppose, yes, a shooter would be good. You're right. A shooter would be good. They got a few too many passers on that team and not enough shooters. They do got Holtz that's coming up, but he didn't have a great year in Sweden. Not to say that he's not going to be good. He's still really young, but if he's still kind of figuring things out in Sweden, he's certainly not going to be ready anytime soon. Alexander Holtz, yeah. Alexander Holtz in Sweden had 18 points in 40 games. Not bad for an 18, 19-year-old. Not bad. Like, he's probably going to be good, but what is he going to be ready next year? And then they've got Dawson Mercer coming up. Bratt really is probably on the edge. He has shown, Jesper Bratt has shown like he can be a solid scorer. But again, he had 7 goals and 23 assists, 30 points last year. Now, the year before that, he had 16 and 16. I remember it looked like he was starting to become a shooter. And he seemed to start shying away from it last year. So, I talked about that possibility of McDonough, Tampa moving McDonough, because McDonough probably is never going to have more value than he has right now. And they've got Chernak, they've got Kalen Foote coming up. The thing is, though, that McDonough contract is pretty sweet, if I remember. He's on a good number. That's the hard part of removing that contract, but I totally get you, CL, because if they can remove that contract, I mean, I think he's at $6 million, and the return for that right now would be probably pretty darn solid. But man, he was huge for them in the playoffs last year. And I think if you trade him, your odds of winning another cup go down fairly considerably. He's 32 and he's got 5 more years at 6.7. That's a really decent contract. And he has an NTC, has a no trade clause. Is it a moderate? That begins in 2026. Okay, it's a long time from now. Oh, no. He has a full no trade. So, probably not. Probably not. I don't think you're going to get enough value now to trade that. You might get a first or something like that, and I think they're still going to be going for it again next year, but I get you. I get you. I thought about that too. I don't think Grubauer would work out in the Leafs, John. It's just, if he doesn't stay in Colorado and he goes on the open market, I think his number is going to be pretty high. Alto Iguchi, that's the first Japanese player, right? Alto Iguchi would be the first Japanese player ever drafted. I guess he's just absolutely ripping it up in Japan. Now, how that's going to progress here, probably not that great, but I like that. I like the way you think, though, CL, because that does make some sense. They could trade McDonough. I mean, for the fun of it, let's see what they could get back for McDonough. But the thing is it's a no-trade clause. So they got to find a place he wants to go, he'd be willing to go to. They got to ask him to waive it. Yeah, it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like a good move, especially after everything he did in the playoffs. Like, he was a beast in the playoffs right now. It's not just the fact that it's how it would affect the room. You don't want to treat guys like that like are warriors for you. It makes it tough. It makes it tough. But it just on optics, if just looking at it from a perspective of asset to asset, I totally get what you're saying, because it would make you could get a really good return, and there's lots of teams out there that would take that full contract, and you could probably get a really good prospect and a first round pick, and like a prospect that could play in the next 2 years. If it was wide open out there for somebody to choose it, but because it's a no trade clause, and it's going to be a very limited amount of teams you could trade him to, I don't think it'd be worth their time to do that. LeBron saying Dano is likely to leave in free agent. Dano, that doesn't really surprise me, because Dano has wanted the number for a while. He believes he's a second line center. He said it 2 years ago when Domi was there. He has said it publicly. He's a second line. He believes he's a second line center, and he wants to get paid like a second line center. And I just think in Montreal that Kotkaniemi is the future second line center for that team. And eventually Kotkaniemi is going to take those minutes from him, and it'll just get awkward. So he goes out on the market now. If Dano goes out on the market now, that is interesting. If somebody brought up Washington, and that makes some sense if they can find a way to get rid of Kuznetsov. But they're probably going to have to bring money back. Or if they let Oshie go and Oshie gets picked up by Seattle, which I think that they'd have to give a pick, they could take Dano on for their second line center spot that would be open. Another team that makes sense on that, but they would have to definitely make room. In fact, if he went to this team, they might actually use him as a first-line center, which I don't think is totally ideal, but it would give them enough depth that it may be enough, and that would be the Vegas Golden Knights. But I think he's looking for around $6 million a year. And Vegas is, of course, way, way tight to the cap. If they were going to do a deal like that, they would have to lose Fleury somehow, or something like that, I think. Either that, or maybe we talked about this before, trade Riley Smith. He's got $5 million left on his contract. $5 million this year, and then he's a UFA. But I don't know if they want to go that high for a guy. I don't know who's going to want to go that high. Somebody's got to believe that he's a true second-line center out there. And the question is he a second-line center? Hey, Elliot, how you doing, buddy? Weichel down. Everybody's going to the Leafs. There's a possibility. I don't think Sakic's going to pay up $6 million for a guy like Dano, though. I think he's too smart for that. I like Dano. Like he's a Selke finalist, right? So, man, like getting his. I understand where Dano's coming from. He's saying like, okay, I might not be the most offensive guy in the world, but I am a Selke finalist. There's for sure. There is enough. There's huge value. He's a shutdown center. What does a shutdown center? What's the market for a shutdown center out there. And who wants one bad enough that they're going to make a deal like that? I don't think Minnesota will, because they already have one in Eck. What's the spot? Columbus? He might get it in Columbus. Columbus loves those kind of guys, especially if Tortorella was still there. They may pony up that kind of money. I don't know 6, though. If he's looking for 6, he might be in trouble. I think maybe 5. He might get 5 for a couple of years, sort of where Pajot is, somewhere around there. But Columbus doesn't have any centers right now, so they could throw him 5 for 5 years or something like that. Would he be happy going to Columbus? I don't know. Is he a family guy or whatever? Nashville, they've had so many guys like that before. I just think that they need something a little more dynamic than that. St. Louis Blues. The Edmonton Oilers would be awesome to have a guy like that, but I don't think they got the cap space to throw $5 million at him. And does he want to go to Edmonton? I get the feeling that he will go just about anywhere where he's going to feel like he's appreciated and have a solid second line center. But anybody I'm missing here, guys, that you would see? Yeah, but they don't need a center in Carolina, so. Danault to the Boston Bruins. So you take Danault instead of Krejci? I think they would have to get rid of what's that third line center contract that they've got? I mean, it's terrible. It didn't turn out good that they got from Minnesota. Charlie Coyle. Yeah, I think they'd have to get rid of that Charlie Coyle contract somehow. But here, now let's look at it from this perspective. If Danault is going, Weber is not going to play, apparently. Hopefully, he might go. That'd be I would be looking at Lorentz if I was Carolina. I really like him. Who else? And then Drouin also. If Drouin decides to not come back to hockey, I don't know. Can I please, if Drouin's done in hockey, my heart goes out to Drouin, because it seems pretty obvious that there's some mental problem, he's having some depression issues and some serious ones at that. And as a person who, I'll put it out there, who's went through bipolar issues myself and stuff like that, my heart goes out to the dude, man. Really, all that talent and everything that happened there, I really hope he's able to come back and play. But there's talk right now that Drouin may not come back to play again, which is too bad. Fogle wants out of Carolina. I suppose he wants to go try to be a top 6 forward somewhere. That's probably the guy that Seattle will take. Drouin, yeah. So if Drouin's out, Weber's out, and Danault is out, look at all the cap space Montreal has again. After all the stuff they did last year, now they've got $30 million to go throw out there again. And you know, the guy that seems, now that I see all this cap space, Montreal is a very different town and a very different people, and not in a bad way. They're very accepting. They like people that are how to explain it, that are eccentric. They love their eccentric people in Montreal. And one of the things I absolutely love about Montreal, by the way, Dougie Hamilton seems like that kind of guy. He's gone through how many different places now, and seems to be a very eccentric guy. Since they have all this cap space, I could see Dougie Hamilton going to Montreal. Yeah, I don't think he's getting $9.6 million anywhere. No, they don't. But I don't think he's getting $9 million. So he can want $9 million till the day is long, but I don't think Hamilton's getting $9 million anywhere. I'll be very, very surprised if he. In fact, I wouldn't doubt that Dougie Hamilton is saying that outrageous number simply because he doesn't want to go back to Carolina. Dougie Hamilton has a place he wants to go. And I don't know if that is Montreal, but where is Dougie Hamilton from? Anybody know? Carolina. Yeah, but he could be just saying that to price himself out of Carolina to go somewhere else. Players do that all the time. They outprice themselves so they can just say, well, we couldn't give him what he wanted. And then they end up going somewhere else and they take less than what they said they wanted from the team that was there before. And that has a lot to do with, he's an eccentric dude. He is from Toronto. He's from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I could definitely see Dougie Hamilton in Montreal. I could definitely see it. I had New Jersey up until now, but after seeing all this cap space that they might have, he's a right defenseman. I believe Weber is also a right defenseman, isn't he? Shea Weber. Yeah, Shea Weber's a right defenseman. They're going to need a right defenseman if Shea Weber's not going to be there. I'll bet he signs for... So Sherratt now is going to be there. They're going to be able to protect Petrie, Sherratt, and Edmondson. They have Romanov, who can play both sides. I could see it. We'll see what he signs for, though, because if money is the big deal, he wouldn't want to sign in Montreal because their taxes are pretty crazy. They end up having to sign players usually for more money because of tax purposes. No, Leafs can't afford Hamilton, not even close. Definitely not, for sure. Oh, are you aware that Shea Weber's going to be hurt? Is hurt? Shea Weber probably won't be back till at least halfway through the season. Who will settle CL? Sorry, I missed that. But, and then, who else? Montreal will throw you for a loop, man. I don't know. you just never know what Bergevin's going to do. I could see Hamilton just because of the type of guy he is. He's a very eccentric guy. Montreal loves those kind of guys. But I could see him do. He's got tons of draft picks he could use. Montreal's got a whole, like, a crazy. They have 3 second-round picks, don't they? They got 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 1 first. So they could use those to pick up somebody. I still think they're going to go for a scorer somehow out there. Who that'll be, because there's not too many on the open free agent market. They could try Ryan Suter. I don't know if Ryan Suter would want to go to Montreal though. Yeah, we can finish off on some Eichel. Eichel has been a big thing going on right now. I bring it down to Minnesota or Anaheim, and I think Anaheim's going to win it. I don't know why, but LA could come back into it, but as of right now, they seem to be out of it, and I think that's because they want Byfield. Yes, I do believe Foligno will go to Minnesota. I think it's pretty likely. He'll go play with his brother there. But if Byfield is in the mix, why LA would be out of it? Maybe their doctors have agreed with Buffalo's doctors and don't like the idea of the surgery. I just heard something today that all the teams that are in it are saying that Buffalo's asking is way too high. This was on Sirius Radio, and one of the teams said that it's 2 times too high. They need to come down half of where they are at. And that would tell me that a lot of that has to do with the fact that, with the surgery, if they're not letting teams talk to the doctors and do that sort of thing, they're not going to get crap for Eichel. They're not going to get much for Eichel. I mean, trying to trade Zach Hyman's rights. I heard that the Leafs might still sign him, but he's going to have to take less to stay with the Leafs. Who was it? A guy on TSN, and it's a player, but I can't remember his name. He said he thinks Hyman's going to stay with the Leafs. Now, take into consideration that I think it's Ray Ferraro, actually. No, it wasn't Ray, but it doesn't matter. Take into consideration this is kind of a Toronto-centric network. TSN should be called the Toronto Sports Network, but he says that Hyman would never be the player he was or get the opportunity he had if it wasn't for the Leafs. Most teams probably never would have played him up on that top line. He probably won't get that many points if he goes somewhere else, and I agree with that. So, but the fact of the matter is, how much of a discount is he going to take? If he takes a number of about $4 million for 5 years or something like that, he might be able to get a spot in Toronto. But I think if he goes on the open market, somebody out there might be foolish enough to throw 5.5 at him. Sign and trades never work. Because somebody can trade for his rights and they can give him an 8-year contract. Anybody that gives Hyman a 8-year contract in the $5 to $6 million mark that I'm hearing is out of their frickin' minds. He's approaching 30 right now. At the end of that contract, no, they're out of their minds if they do that. And the only reason why somebody would trade for his rights is they want to be the team that can offer him an 8-year contract. So who's going to give him that? I don't. Probably there's a team out there that will. Buffalo Sabres. New Jersey Devils need a player like that, kinda. To 8 years for $5 to $6 million for a guy who has buttered up stats because he's played with Marner and Matthews up until now. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be the guy doing that. That's for sure. If he does 5 for 4, Toronto might even be able to do that. Again, if he could go to Edmonton if he does 5 for 4. Who knows? The way Edmonton is, maybe they're the ones that give him $6 million for all I know. That would be for 8 years, maybe. I don't know. I certainly hope not, but. Yeah, I mean, he's a hard worker and all that kind of stuff like that, but his stats have been padded, let's face it. He's not getting those kind of stats anywhere except for maybe Edmonton. If he goes anywhere else, he's a 40-point guy. He's not a number one winger. He's not. If he gets paid, if he's going to get paid like one. Yeah, the problem with Toronto, again, is they're so cash-strapped. They need defense more than they need Hyman. But they need Hyman at the same time. Yeah, do they need a guy like Hyman? Absolutely, they need a guy like Hyman. They're going to have to find a cheaper version of Hyman. And I don't know, I guess you'd be going at Goudreau in Tampa Bay or something like that, who I don't think is as good offensively as Hyman is. They're going to have to find somebody like that. Mitch Marner got thrown off his game in the playoffs, yeah, for sure, no doubt about it. They need a guy like Corey Perry or something like that. The guy that can play, not Thornton. Not Thornton. What the heck are you paying 40-year-old Thornton? But I guess they didn't have anybody else. They gave it a shot, I suppose. But Foligno was great, but he was too hurt to play. They need some guys like that. They need some warriors on that team. I totally agree with you. Hyman is one, but they can't be paying these warriors $6 million, unfortunately, because of the way they set themselves up. Unless, as I mentioned before, that you trade a guy like Marner. Unfortunately, though, even if you wanted to trade a guy like Marner and get like a really good package back where you can get some guys like that, there might not be enough of a market out there for him because there might not be enough teams that can take his cap hit right now. Coleman to the Dallas Stars seems like the obvious one, but the thing is I don't think he's going to get the right amount of money in Dallas because they're so cash-strapped, but he's from that area, so it does make sense from that perspective for sure. Yeah, I just don't think it was a wise move. I didn't think it was a good move when they made it. It just didn't make sense to me. He's not the kind of guy you're looking for. I do like Spezza. Spezza's good. They re-sign him. That's awesome. Yeah, Thornton did deserve to win a cup, but I mean, a 40-year-old Thornton doesn't really move the meter enough in the playoffs or anything else for that matter. I just wouldn't have made that move. I just don't like it. Sorry, I was just doing a little something. That's a nice... If they leave Tanner Jeannot out, yeah, for sure, I'm all over that. That kid looked really good last year. Are they going to get Tanner Jeannot? They can't find a way to protect Tanner Jeannot. They're not going to be protecting Duchesne. They're not going to protect Duchesne, and they're not going to protect Ryan Johansson. So you've got Cunnin, Yarncroc. They can. I think they can protect that. They can protect Jeannot. I think they will. Eli Toivonen, yeah, I think they can protect him. They got a bunch of UFAs. I don't see any reason why they can't protect him. Yeah, I think they can. Because they're not going to protect Johansson or Duchesne. So Forsberg, Cunnin, Jeannot. Who's left? Yarncroc, Grimaldi. Like, they can even protect Colton Sissons. They really don't have any worry to leave anybody out there. So they're probably going to lose Matthew Benning, I would think. $5 million for 5 years. Blake Coleman might get that. And that probably is an overpayment. Blake Coleman. Blake Coleman's 29. I mean, I like Blake Coleman. He's only he put up 31 points in 55 games. Yeah, he's a real, like, heart and soul type guy. He just might get that, yeah. I don't think he gets that in Dallas, though. There's apparently he wants to stay in the United States, so I've heard. I don't know if that's totally the case, but I've heard he wants to stay in the United States. No, they can't afford it. Definitely not. If they could, they would probably sign the guys that they have. Oh, I forgot about Trennan. I keep Jeannot and I let Cousins go. I keep Jeannot and I let Cousins go. Maybe even Trennan, really. Trennan has not really progressed as much as they wanted him to. Yeah. I think Jeannot's got way more upside. Cousins is what Cousins is. Let me pull up Nashville here just to make sure. I'm probably going to go long, guys, so I'm having fun. So. Nick Cousins is 27. Where's Janot? Let me look at the depth chart. Tanner Janot's 24. Tanner is 24. He's 6'2". He had 21 points in 13 games. He just had this blowout season where all the offense started coming to him. His last year in Moose Jaw, he got 80 points in 72 games. It could have been an aberration, but he's a 24-year-old kid. Like, he could progress to be better than Cousins, or he could be as good as Cousins. But Cousins is not going to get much better. Cousins is what Cousins is. So I would probably take the guy with the upside. If Philip Forsberg gets traded in the offseason, then they are pretty much rebuilding completely. There's really no use keeping anybody. Just do a total burn it down rebuild. And it doesn't sound like that's what they're doing. I know they want to staple a pick to Duchesne, but I think that has to do with getting somebody else. I think they'll be hard after Reinhardt or somebody like that. I honestly think it would be best for them to rebuild. Nashville loves their Cousins. You bad boy, you. Nashville's like really weird team. Talk about a tweener team like you've ever seen one. Is there ever been a team that's like, there's no chance Nashville's going to win a cup? No chance. There is a good chance that they'll make the playoffs. A decent chance that they can make the playoffs because of their solid D and Saros. But there's no chance that they win the cup. Really, with the guys they have on this roster, if it wasn't for the fact that they're in Nashville and they're afraid to rebuild, this should be a rebuild all day long. You can't say what for the future, Lord. Let's hope so. How did Askarov do this year? Yeah, Askarov could change everything. I did say that Poyle might have saved his butt with that Askarov acquisition. Okay, this is their depth chart. Where the heck is their prospects? Where the heck is Askarov? Oh, right here. How did he do this year? Yeah, 1-2-1 and a point, but he only played 9 games. Why did they play him in the MHL? The under 20, every time he plays in the under 20s, he doesn't do well. Askarov. 240 and a .914. But he plays in the KHL, and he posted a 121 and a .951. Now, that was only in 9 games. And the year before that, he posted a 2.00 and a .920. He's got one more year that he's got to play, and then he can come over. Yeah, Michael McLeod signs with the New Jersey Devils. One of the few big guys they have for forwards in there. Oh, is that what it was? Okay. So the league hadn't started yet, so they played him there. That makes sense. So he's got one more year at KHL, and he'll probably be their number one goaltender. And then him and Saros has got to fight it out. But, yeah, he looks pretty beastly. Those numbers in the KHL look pretty sick. Weird team, though. Very weird team. If there was ever a team that needs something big to happen, like to get a surprise prospect that comes up and like a Pasternak or something like that, I guess every team would love that. But Nashville really needs it. Really needs a big guy there somehow. As far as the forward is concerned. Because they're just barely scraping by. Anyways, I'm getting called for supper, guys. Thanks for coming in, and I'll be tomorrow afternoon. I'll be in the afternoon tomorrow. And it sounds like we get Peyton on the radio and E-Money tomorrow. Didn't have anybody all week, and now we're going to have 2 guys in one day. That'll be pretty cool. Also, Off the Wall Hockey John is going to be on doing his show tomorrow night at its regular time. So it won't be pre-recorded. So that'll be fun. And I'll see you guys then. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff come up before tomorrow that we're going to chat about. Have a great day. Send this out to all your friends. Get as many people down here as possible. I want to get you guys, I want to get a Pearlo, a Jetto Frolic, and go pick you guys up. We'll go see games and all of that. And the way we do that is if we keep on crushing here in this stream. Have a great day, everybody. Okay, bye.